Our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show on June 19th, 2012. Do hope y'all have had a fantastic weekend, and the week has been going somewhat good for you so far. We got 4th of July just around the corner. If you haven't started making plans yet, make sure you do. Latest poll that was put out, they had asked a lot of riders on what day will they probably begin their commute to go spend time with family during the holiday, and surprisingly, a lot of people said that they were going to be leaving between Thursday and Friday, so that's going to be the worst time to be caught up in traffic. Looks like the best time to sit up and go see your loved ones is going to be on Monday, as that had came in at, I believe, 14%, so make sure you plan wisely so you don't get caught up in some ugly traffic. Do hope you all have been keeping it cool so far. Not too much has been going on over here at RN since last we had took the liberty of talking with you all, being on the air. I know that we got some basketball action that is happening right now, as we got the Miami Heat taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And for you all that are not in front of your television right now, don't worry, we got your hookup, as it's the fourth quarter right now at 10 minutes and 25 seconds, clicking down, as the Oklahoma City Thunder are currently beating the Miami Heat 79-80 in Game 4. So we'll keep you posted on how that's going about throughout this show. Now, before we get right into it, folks, we definitely want to let you all know, especially those of you that want to chime in your thoughts on whatever wrestling news articles got you worked up, or if you want to talk about this past installment of WWE Raw, you're more than welcome to do so. Just kick back, smile and dial. Be live on the air. Call us toll-free, 1-888-342-9848. Again, that toll-free 800 number is 1-888-342-9848. And before we go into the show, we definitely have to let you all know of some quick notes that's going to be coming up within the coming weeks, as we're going to be having a few guests that are going to be stopping by. Now, actually, this Saturday, I'll be sitting up and I'll be doing an interview with Austrian pop singer Vassie, and she's been getting quite a little bit of buzz with her latest album that's been out, and she's actually been on the music scene for a couple of years now, and her music has been featured in commercials, latest movie, Cabin in the Woods. She's been making the rounds on network cable, so it's going to be a really cool sit-down interview that I'm going to be doing with her, and that'll be a YouTube exclusive. We're going to try a little experiment because I have no knowledge of today's pop music whatsoever, but she had reached out to myself and my staff, and she said, hey, I really like you guys' show. You all are pretty awesome, and I would like the opportunity to possibly sit up and come on to the show. And I told her, I said, well, our main audience, they are into music and wrestling. We're not really sure that your particular type of music would be a good fit, but I'll tell you what I'll do. We got a lot of hits on YouTube. Why don't we go on ahead and see if we could do something exclusive for our YouTube subscribers, and we'll see how that pans out, and if it's pretty popular, then we'll definitely make it be our business to feature it on a future Tuesday installment of the RCWR Show or Thursday Impact Showdown. So we'll see how that goes, as I'm going to be dubbing that Weekend Day Talk with Lee Sanders. So just look for that on YouTube for y'all that might be curious about that. Must admit, she's a very beautiful woman, very beautiful. Nice, pretty dark brown hair. Nice vocals, too. I highly recommend you check her out. She's got a new album out in iTunes, Zune marketplaces. Name's Vassie, V-A-S-S-Y. So if you bump into her music and you like what you hear, definitely give me a shout-out. Definitely give her a shout-out, as we'll upload that YouTube piece. And also coming up on our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show, I believe, I got to double check, I believe it's Tuesday. It's either Tuesday or Thursday. We'll definitely let you guys know on this Thursday night's Impact Showdown. we're going to have with us a very special guest, metal guitarist by the name of Xander, and he's been making his moves in the heavy metal scene, and he's going to be coming by the show, and we're going to be talking about his music, and that's going to be really awesome. This guy is a phenomenal guitarist. He's done some really, really nice work. Y'all are going to have fun checking that out. And actually, I was so impressed with his work. I actually said to him, look, man, I've been needing a new intro for quite some time. You think you might be able to help me out? And he said, yeah, man, let's see how things go. So we're definitely excited to not only do the interview with him, but be working with him as we're going to be trying to figure out what new intro we can do for the show. Maybe we could do something similar to that metal show. I love that show. I think that show is awesome. Eddie Trunk, one of the greats, man. That guy has a phenomenal mind as far as the stuff that he can remember. Really ridiculous. Of course, this episode is being sponsored by the NWA. As you all may not be aware, or for those of you that are aware, good for you, we're going to be teaming up with the NWA as coming later this summer. We're going to be doing a new original series with them. It's going to be covering all the latest in wrestling-related news from the NWA Florida and NWA Korea. So that's going to be pretty awesome. Definitely can't wait to get started on that. I've been spending some of my summers so far brushing up my history on NWA, watching tons of hours of footage. I am trying my best to make sure that I am on point when we get ready to launch this new show. In the meantime, do yourself a favor. Check them out on their website at nwafloridatv.net. Again, that's nwafloridatv.net. Now, for y'all that were listening to our Sunday night edition of the RCWR Post Show, I gave that website out, and I know a few people had set up, and they said, hey, there's really nothing there yet. And I told you, I said, give it a little time. They got probably the best amount of people that are working on it right now. And sure enough, I was checking around on the site yesterday, and it looks completely different from what was shown on Sunday. So they've been working practically, it looks like, almost around the clock, adding new content. So slowly but surely, but quickly at the same time, it's coming along very nicely. So I highly recommend you check them out. Bookmark that site, nwafloridatv.net. Also, why don't you check them out on Facebook? Like their page, befriend them. You can hit them up on Facebook at NWA Championship Wrestling from Florida. That's the Facebook link that you need to look for them. Again, that's on Facebook, NWA Championship from Florida. And when you get over there, you like them and everything, holler at them, let them know I sent you, and they'll treat you real good. Now, of course, we have to thank our YouTube subscribers who recently made it be their business to check out our WWE No Way Out post show, as we had received a ton of new subscribers over the weekend, and it just continues to roll in as we go through this week. So, mad shout out to those of you that are listening to this episode on YouTube. Hey, we really appreciate the love. Thank you for that. Continue to spread that good word. Let your friends, family know what it is that you're checking out. Get them involved. Continue to spread the good word. That's how it all works. So we definitely appreciate that. And we also have to give a shout-out to our new followers that had hit us up on Blog Talk Radio, as we had a ton of people that were checking out our post show in the chat room. Really cool conversations right there. A lot of cool conversations from people that decided to call into the show. So bad shout out to those of you that were in our chat room on Sunday and checking out the show on Sunday, downloads, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it right there. And, of course, we have to mention that despite having some really great numbers for our No Way Out post show, which last I checked was at 20,000 views. Now, you know YouTube, they have to make sure that it's all verified, that the videos have been watched all the way. And from what we've been able to gather, those numbers are legit. So we are almost clocking in at 20,000 views for our No Way Out piece. surprisingly, we have a small percentage of people who didn't appreciate the post-show. Now, some people went as far as taking the liberty of not reading the show description, or maybe possibly they don't know how to read English. Now, that's not a knock to them, as they could be from India, they could be from Germany, they could be from Russia. Who knows? But we had received a little bit of negative feedback, if you will, with regards to our pieces, and we had some people sitting up saying, "Oh, this video is false. It's not true. It's something else." And let me just set the record straight. So for those of you that are listening to this on YouTube, you're going to be checking this out later. This is a special message to you guys, okay? Now, one thing that we will not do on the RCWR show when it comes to any pay-per-view that airs, we are not going to upload it to YouTube. We are not going to upload it to Daily Motion, especially if we do not have written consent from those respected promotions. We are not going to sit up and upload pay-per-views, because I know a lot of the feedback, I haven't even seen the comments. I was just told by Zed, who's usually the one that's uploading our stuff on YouTube, and he's handling the interaction part on Twitter and Facebook. He was telling me, man, we received a lot of negative feedback about our YouTube piece. A lot of people were expecting the pay-per-view. I'm like, first thing I said to him, I said, well, what the hell? How did you tag it? He said, well, I tagged it WWE No Way Out, highlights and results. I said, okay, so what's the problem? What did you use for a thumbnail? There was this really cool artwork I have found that showed all the guys that were going to be participating in the pay-per-view. I said, okay, well, what's the problem? I don't know. I said, okay, well, something's not quite right here. So I sat up and I was looking at everybody else's videos that had those same text that we used, and though their videos weren't as popular, they kind of received the same little bit of slack too. And for those of you that may not be aware, it is a tedious task to sit up and try to upload photos from a pay-per-view the same night when you're trying to do a show immediately. I mean, that would be a ton of work. It'd be one thing if we're doing like our Call That Match specials and we sit up and we have all that extra time to dedicate into putting images and making sure that the audio syncs up with the pictures. It's a ton of work, trust me. You know, I'm starting to get the hang of it because I was very curious about the process, and I'm still getting the hang of it. I'm moving a little quicker, but if I sit up and I'm the one that's doing it, it takes me at least 90 minutes, almost 2 hours to get it complete. So, it takes a lot of time to sit up and do all of those things. Would we like to do stuff like that? Yeah, we probably will try to put more images in there for those of you that like seeing images of the actual pay-per-view, but the only thing you got to understand about that, it all depends on that wrestling promotion's website. It all depends if they make it their business to upload photos as soon as humanly possible, because the quicker that they're able to release the photos, then the quicker we may be able to entertain the thought of incorporating that into our show so that you can see some of the highlights of the pay-per-view. But if you missed the big bold cap letters in the episode description that says audio only, audio only, audio only, and you miss the RCWR show, I really don't know what to tell you. I don't want to say you're stupid. I would hope you're not stupid. Really, I would hope not. But I really don't know what to tell you. So for you guys that are expecting pay-per-views, look, there's a few ways you can check out the pay-per-views if you're hurting for cash. And one of the ways is streaming. I'm not going to even go into details about that. YouTube, Google is your best friend, okay? There's also going over to your friend's house and maybe watching the pay-per-view if they're going to order it. And then there's waiting for the pay-per-view to come out on DVD. But for you guys that are expecting pay-per-views to be uploaded to YouTube just like that, you are sadly mistaken, my friends. That's how a lot of people get into some serious trouble, and we aren't having any of that. So I didn't mean to go on a rant here, folks, so I apologize, but I just thought we would just address that little core audience, and we really didn't have to acknowledge that because, like I said, we had got a ton of new subscribers that enjoyed the piece. We had got a ton of views for that piece, so we really didn't have to acknowledge that 1% that were sitting up kind of feeling like they were being a little misled, but we just thought we'd put that out there. So hopefully you guys that continue to listen to the show regularly, hopefully, you know, when you're watching our pieces on YouTube, you can appreciate those times where we're able to put some type of images in the video piece while you're watching it, because a lot of work goes into it. And, yeah, I must admit, for the staff that I have here that's helping me, Zed and co-producer Tammy, you know, I got to be honest, I'm not really paying them that much. So for them to do the work that they do, and they really do it because they love the sport of wrestling and they love being part of a team, if you will. So for them to do the work that they do, and, you know, I'm not going to sit up and have anybody crap on it. If you don't like what you see or you don't like what you hear, you are more than welcome to go check out another show. You know, we're not putting a gun to your head and saying, listen to the damn show. So feel free to do whatever you want to do, but I'm not going to sit up and have their hard work be bashed. So just thought we'd put that out there. So on that note, let's go on ahead and let's dip right into it. So when last we were on the air with you all, it was Monday night where we were talking about the Rodney King, and for those of you who didn't check that piece out, I highly recommend that you do go check that out. It was a really interesting episode, I must say, as I had shared my personal experience on what it was like living in California and being out there during the L.A. riots, and it was a really great piece. I had received a little bit of feedback from that. I actually had a few followers. It was actually more than one. A few people had said to me, great piece. You should definitely do a follow-up to that and mention OJ. How can you not mention OJ? And I didn't want to mention OJ because I just wanted the focus to be on Rodney King, and I just wanted to make sure that I stayed the course in talking about Rodney King only. So I will be entertaining the idea of doing a follow-up and talking about OJ. I'm 90% sure I'll probably do a piece on OJ. So usually when I'm at 90%, that means I'm definitely going to do it. So more details on that in a little bit. So let's talk about the latest installment of WWE Raw that had aired. And this was their follow-up to the No Way Out pay-per-view, which, by the way, if you hadn't seen that yet, highly recommend that you go check out our No Way Out post-show. Really great episode, as a lot of listeners called in and they shared their thoughts on the pay-per-view. Definitely the buzz right now, and I got to join in on the buzz, is that the No Way Out pay-per-view was a bit weak when compared to TNA's Slammiversary pay-per-view. No Way Out had some strengths. It had some weaknesses. But that's in the past. We're talking about Monday Night Raw, so it's the follow-up to that pay-per-view. And what better way to kick things off than Mrs. Foley's boy, the hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley, as he makes an appearance to the Raw Arena. And we're wondering to ourselves, what exactly is Mick Foley doing here? Why is he gracing us with his appearance? Or is this going to be another scenario where Mick Foley is going to be embarrassed on TV? Because it seems like every time you turn around, poor Mick Foley is sitting up and he's involved in some of the most poorest sketches. At least as of late, that seems to be the trend. But on this night, no, we wouldn't even have that at all, as Mick Foley revealed that the board of directors have named him as the interim general manager of Raw and SmackDown for this week until they can find a permanent general managers. So it looks like on a weekly basis now we are going to be graced with a former general manager, a former Raw or SmackDown official. So I love this concept. I love this idea. We already know that probably the anonymous Raw general manager will likely make an appearance. Vicky Guerrero at some point is probably going to step into that role for that week. Heck, they got to have Stone Cold Steve Austin. We already know Sergeant Slaughter's probably going to be in there as well. I am all for this. I think it's going to be a really great concept that they're doing this each week as it's leading up to the 1,000th episode of Monday Night Raw. Great concept. As John Laurinitiaus has been revealed to have a farewell speech tonight. And without any further ado, Mick Foley had invited John Laurinitiaus, Big Johnny, to come on out and say his piece. And John Laurinitiaus, with the brace around his neck and the arm in a sling and on a crutch, he's coming down to the ring. And, man, he cut one hell of a great promo. I was really pleased with what I saw him do in the ring as he sat up and said that he's going to be having a farewell, leaving a farewell gift to the WWE Universe as he's booked himself in a match with David Otunga and the Big Show to take on John Cena. That's right. It's a 3-on-1 match. And this was one of those deals where I sat up and I said, whoa, this is a good way to kick off Monday Night Raw, as it looks like it's going to be a serious beatdown that's going to be coming John Cena's way. Now, from there, folks, we would have the WWE Champion CM Punk team up with the World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus to take on Daniel Bryan and Kane. Now, I got to be a little bit critical about this, and this is the best part about the RCWR show, as well as Impact Showdown. The thoughts that I have that's coming off the top of my head, it's not influenced by anyone else. By that I mean it's very rare that I'll sit up, because I have my favorite shows that I like to listen to. So nowadays, though, my workload has been very hectic as I've just been focusing more on designing the website and getting the show to where it needs to be. So unfortunately, I don't get to hear things that other guys are saying on their respected shows. It's kind of rare nowadays. But this was a match I was excited for, but I was upset at the same time. And those of you that have been listening to the show long enough, I think you probably know the reason why I was upset at this match. Now, don't get me wrong, fantastic match. I loved the part where AJ comes out and she's wearing a Kane costume similar to what he was wearing, and I just love how he just looked at her like a dog in heat. He kind of looked at her like, hey, what's going on here? Oh, wow. Yeah, he was just really just fixated on her as she's just skipping around the ring. And poor Kane, I mean, he literally just gave way as he's giving chase to AJ, and CM Punk is just looking on, and he loves what he sees as Daniel Bryan is just left there to defend himself. And, man, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, they just tag teamed the hell out of Daniel Bryan as they had picked up the win there. I have never seen Daniel Bryan get beat so bad before that it just made me kind of come off saying, wow, are they really going to do this to poor Daniel Bryan? They spent all this time building him up, and this is how you're going to kind of bury him right now? I really wasn't feeling that. But the thing that upset me the most was sitting up and seeing the WWE Champion and the World Heavyweight Champion pretty much at the start of the first hour as I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, these two are supposed to be the faces of the company. Why aren't they coming out towards the end of the night? And I'll touch up a little bit more on that later. That's just a little teaser for now to get you guys talking and get your brain jogging a little bit. Now, from there, we would see a backstage segment where Dolph Ziggler is arguing with Jack Swagger, and Dolph Ziggler says basically, hey, man, I'm getting sick and tired of you. I've been carrying you for far too long. It's my time. I'm the one that's better between the two of us. Jack Swagger, he's sitting up saying, hey, no, that's not even the case at all. It's me. It's always been about me. And Vicky Guerrero, she's hearing all this, and she would say to both men, look, I just talked with Mick Foley, and he agreed. We're going to settle this once and for all. Both of you all are going to have a one-on-one match against each other. And, hey, whoever wins, not only will they get me, but they'll get my adoring affection, blah, 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 blah. Yakety-smackety. So this match, very damn good match. I must admit, Jack Swagger was actually coming off looking pretty decent for once. He was actually starting to live up to the whole American for once. As these two, they really put on a great match, and it was everything that you would expect from a Dolph Ziggler-Jack Swagger match. As Jack Swagger, he's trying to do his best to make Dolph Ziggler tap out, and Dolph Ziggler, he's just being relentless. He has that whole never give up mentality. It was phenomenal as Dolph Ziggler was able to pick up the victory. Post-match was a little interesting, though, as a ton of people, they had expressed their disgust because they didn't like the fact that Vicky Guerrero was putting tongue down the throat of Dolph Ziggler afterwards. And, hey, I don't see what all the hate is about, man. I think Vicky Guerrero, she looks pretty nice. She looks pretty hot, especially now that she has lost all that weight. I mean, she looks pretty damn good. But, you know, the real thing is that has a lot of people talking now is how long will it be now before Dolph Ziggler realizes that Vicky Guerrero could possibly cost him matches? As some people, including myself, we're already looking in that crystal ball and saying to ourselves, is this really the route that needs to happen? Because honestly, if you really think about it, Vicky Guerrero has been in Dolph Ziggler's corner for a very long time, it seems. So this is really kind of not different from what we've seen in several weeks. So the only way I kind of really see this being shaken up a little bit is if Dolph Ziggler just decides to break away from her altogether. And I do believe that it's in the works. I can see it happening. I'm just not sure the timing of when it would happen. And it's funny that we're talking about Dolph Ziggler because one of our callers from our Sunday night post show, he had brought up a good point about Money in the Bank, and he had asked if possibly Daniel Bryan might try to pull a CM Punk and become a two-time Money in the Bank winner. And I was marinating on that a little bit more, and I said to myself, wouldn't it be cool if Dolph Ziggler won Money in the Bank? Because originally I said, hey, Wade Barrett, he should definitely get that since he was dubbed to be the next guy in line. But at the same time, I started thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, Wade Barrett, he's been out for a while now. He's got to prove himself all over again. That's a serious injury that he had. He's got to prove that he is still at that same level that he was before he went out. So in this case, Dolph Ziggler should be the one to win Money in the Bank. He's earned it, I feel. How cool will it be, folks, if Dolph Ziggler were to be involved in the Money in the Bank match, win it, dump Vicky Guerrero? you got to admit, that would be a very nice angle. I would love to see that happen. So let's see what happens. I mean, hey, you never know, but I'm looking into my crystal ball, and right now that sounds like it would be a pretty awesome idea. So we'll see how that goes, folks. But from there, next up, we would see, my favorite segment. We would see Brock Lesnar. No, not Brock Lesnar himself, but, I know I teased you a little bit there. No. Well, technically you did kind of see Brock Lesnar. You saw him on the Titantron. But, no, we would see Paul Heyman come out. Of course, he's representing his client, Brock Lesnar, as he comes down to the ring. And he just cut one fantastic promo with Triple H, man. I mean, woo-wee. That was really some good stuff that he cut. As Paul Heyman, he comes out there and he says to Triple H as well as the WWE Universe that there's no way that the match is going to happen, that Brock Lesnar said no. And Paul Heyman thanked Triple H kindly, but they'd have to decline the offer. And Paul Heyman thinks that he's going to be able to leave out the ring. Music of Triple H comes on. The COO comes out, the game, Triple H. And he says to Paul Heyman, look, I can't remember verbatim, but didn't he mention something about bingo hall? And I just think that every single time you get Paul Heyman in the ring, it's either Triple H or Stephanie, usually Triple H, who will always take that little shot, that little jab at Paul Heyman. And I'm just saying to myself, dude, it's been almost 15 years now, and you're still talking about that crap? Don't you have a new joke? I mean, seriously. Say what you want about ECW. A lot of people, they'll sit up and they'll say that ECW was a failure because all these financial problems that they ended up having. You could say what you want, but that was a better advanced product for its time than where TNA was in the first 5 years of its existence, I feel. So this little shots that he's taking, I just think that it's really ridiculous, and it's kind of insulting when you really think about it, because not only is Triple H disrespecting the legacy of ECW, but he's disrespecting guys like Chris Jericho, who passed through there, Eddie Guerrero, who passed through there, Rey Mysterio, who passed through there, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who passed through there, Stevie Richards, who passed through there. I mean, really, can you come up with a better joke? Because that's really starting to get old, Triple H. But, despite that, and the beautiful thing I liked about that piece, when Triple H tried to take that little pot shot at Paul Heyman was actually getting ready to come right back at Triple H, but Triple H made sure that he cut him off as he's letting him know, look, I can give Brock Lesnar what he wants. He wants to be a star, right? You're sitting up saying that Brock Lesnar has no ego, right? This is the same man that sat up and said in his contract he wanted Monday Night Raw to have his face all over the intro, that he wanted the text to come up starring Brock Lesnar. So he's like, what do you mean Brock Lesnar doesn't have an ego? And he says, I can give Brock Lesnar what he wants. Check this out. And he shows him a SummerSlam poster of Brock Lesnar's face, trying to entice him. And Paul Heyman, he almost bit into it, but he said, hey, nice try, but it's not going to work. Sorry. And this is where it got really nice, as Paul Heyman really proved why he is one of the best talkers and has one of the sharpest minds in the business, because he literally just went to work on Triple H. He embarrassed that boy, because he sat up and he said, I know everything that you're going to do before you even do it. You call yourself the cerebral assassin? You've met your match. And he's letting him know that, hey, maybe by the time we get done owning this joint, maybe we'll have something for you. It was the line that he would throw out there at Triple H. And then to add more insult to injury, he would sit up and say, then again, your wife. There we go. That's that button that'll push Triple H, as Paul Heyman let Triple H know. He knows all the right buttons to push on Triple H because he's been watching him very closely over the years. And that was definitely a button that was the right one to push as Triple H grabbed Paul Heyman by the neck again. And you got Paul Heyman just sitting up, almost kind of mimicking what had happened a couple of weeks prior when Triple H had grabbed him around the neck, which was, what are you doing? But that wasn't the case this time around, as Paul Heyman is literally begging Triple H to hit him, as he's proclaiming he'll definitely take one for Team Lesnar. Go ahead, do it. And Triple H, he doesn't do it. And Paul Heyman, he says, hey, I know you. I know you very well. I know everything that you're going to do. I can see everything that you're going to do before you even know it. And Triple H, just throwing caution into the wind, would just strike down Paul Heyman with a strong fist. And then he would ask Paul Heyman, did you see that one coming? As Triple H walks off. You can only think about the ramifications that's going to be happening as a result of that. They've got to follow this up because we've already got Paul Heyman talking about his lawsuit against Triple H. I just wonder if this will push that lawsuit storyline even more further. You would hope that it would, because there's just no way they can let that go unnoticed, because to not bring that up would kind of conflict with what was said initially. So I would love to see something happen with regards to Triple H. Maybe the board of directors, they could pop up, maybe via email or statement is read, or maybe Vince McMahon could return and say to Triple H, based upon your actions that you took against Paul Heyman last week on Raw, we tried to contact you. I tried to contact you. You didn't return my calls. You didn't return my emails. The board tried to contact you. This was the only way that I could reach you, was to be doing this in the ring. Son, I have no choice but to inform you that the board of directors, they've suspended you for a few weeks because of what you did to Paul Heyman. I just think that makes sense. I know some people, they probably will be like, nah, we need Triple H on Raw right now. He needs to be making more appearances, kind of help get those ratings up a little bit. I can agree with that. I can appreciate that. But I just think storyline-wise, it just makes a little more sense at this point to have Triple H be suspended, because the only thing that's left after the suspension is to terminate him as the COO. Now, will they go down that route? Probably not, but it just makes sense storyline-wise when you really think about it, that that's what they need to try to execute next, and at least that way the storyline will make sense. Now, everybody is already starting to speculate on when will Brock Lesnar be returning, and it's already been said that Brock Lesnar will be appearing on the July, I believe it's the August, because SummerSlam's in August. They're already saying that he'll be popping up on the Monday, August 13th episode of Raw before the SummerSlam pay-per-view on August 19th. But it wouldn't surprise me if he were to pop up on the 1000 episode of Raw. Just the fact that they are going to be having DX pop up, that's a freaking storyline right there, man. They need to have Brock Lesnar pop up and sabotage the hell out of that DX reunion. It just makes sense, really. When you really think about it, it just makes sense for them to capitalize on that. If they're really trying to make that episode be memorable, then that's definitely the step that they should take. And I would love to see Brock Lesnar just do what he did to Triple H and broke that arm, do the same thing to Shawn Michaels. That would really be awesome. Really help push that storyline between the two of those guys. Now, from there, folks, we would see a match where we saw Alberto Del Rio defeat U.S. champion Santino Marella in a non-title match. And this match right here, man, I must admit, I was like, wow, it's a seesaw with Santino, isn't it, folks? One week we see Santino getting a win or two over this guy or that guy, but it seems like there's this nasty little trend that's been going on so far, as every time he locks it up with Alberto Del Rio makes him his bitch. Every time. Now, if you haven't noticed that, just start peeping it out from now on. You'll notice exactly what I'm talking about. It's really funny when you think about it, because Santino can own Ricardo Rodriguez any day of the week, but when it comes to Alberto Del Rio, you can forget about it. The match is over within a few seconds, as once again, Alberto Del Rio just slapped on that cross arm breaker to make Santino tap out very quickly. And to add more insult, post-match, we would have Ricardo get his little licks in as he went to work attacking the United States champion. So definitely nice to see that these two guys aren't finished by a long shot. I just hope that from a WWE creative standpoint, if these two are going to be locking it up again, get rid of the whole silly-ass gimmicks, the tuxedo, the who can pronounce their R's better. Get rid of all that, and let's just really see these two put on an entertaining match. Ricardo Rodriguez, he's already been given enough praise for being able to take bumps really well. So I definitely would love to see what he can do, as apparently this guy, he really knows how to wrestle pretty good. So he may not have the look, but from what I'm hearing, he's pretty damn good in the ring. So let's go on ahead and let's just see what these two can really do already and go from there. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense continuing to put these two in stupid little gimmick matches. I think. I don't know about y'all, but eventually it's going to start getting a little bit played out. It's going to start getting a little boring. Now, we would see an awkward segment, which was a use the bathroom break as far as I was concerned, but I watched it anyway, as 80s pop icon Cyndi Lauper made an appearance, and I believe she was with, who was it, Wendy Richter? I don't know if I have the name right, folks. For you guys in the chat room, I'll definitely take a glance. Let me know if that name is right. But these two would make an appearance, and, oh my God, where do I even begin with this? It was a really crappy segment, and I'm already starting to see the trend now as Heath Slater is coming out. Okay, so when Heath Slater comes out on past icons that have had a huge influence over the WWE over the years, that means that we're going to get a legend that's going to return. I see the trend right now, and the only thing I kept saying to myself is, okay, if we got Heath Slater coming out, crashing the scene, and trying, and the key word is trying, to sing, what legend is going to be coming out? Now, a lot of people, they were under the impression that it was going to be Kevin Nash, because Kevin Nash, he had sent a tweet out on Twitter kind of toying with followers that he could possibly be making an appearance on Raw that night, but it would actually be Hot Rod himself, Roddy Piper, who made an appearance. And I was happy to see this guy. I always love it when he comes out, but I must admit, I didn't care about this segment. I just thought that this segment was just really weak. And it was one of those segments where I said, okay, what's the real reason why Cyndi is out here? Does she have some type of a deal with them? Does she have a new album out? Sure enough, when this segment would end, thank God, they were plugging her album. So I was like, go figure. Only thing I liked about this was seeing Cyndi Lauper take a album signed. It looked like it was a record that was autographed that Roddy Piper had presented to her as a gift. and she just crashed it over the head of Heath Slater. I thought that was hilarious right there. But other than that, I really didn't care for this particular segment. You would think that I would, because I'm a huge 80s fan. I love the 80s. I grew up on the 80s. I miss the 80s to this very day. But Cyndi Lauper, I never really cared about her. I didn't care about her back then. Don't care about her now. My whole thing was, man, wasn't anybody else from the 80s available? What about Tears for Fears? What about Hall & Oates? What about MC Hammer? Nobody else was available for this particular piece? Thank you, NJ Brock. Wendy Richter. Okay, I knew I had got the name right. Yeah, two-time WWF Women's Champ. Yeah. Man, guys, how the hell did she look, though? She looked like, whoa, I didn't even recognize her. When I first saw her come out, I said to myself, whose grandma is that, or whose auntie is that? She looks cute, but who is that? I didn't know that was Wendy Richter, and when they announced her, I was like, damn, she looked kind of grandma-ish. Let me stop. But, yeah, I was surprised at how she looked, man. I was like, wow, she looks like she's definitely put her wrestling career behind her. I'd be shocked to hear if she's still wrestling. If she is, more power to her, man. Now, from there, folks, we would see Primo and Epico defeat the Primetime Players via countout. And once again, the Primetime Players, Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, they came out, as Booker T would describe it, bootylicious trunks. I must admit, as I'm seeing them wearing the pair of underwear, I was sitting up and I was saying to myself, man, I need some Bubblicious. I was thinking, man, where's some Bubblicious? Where's some Bazooka Joe gum? I missed that. That's all I was thinking the whole time I was watching these guys wrestle. They really need to switch up their trunks, man. They need to go with some violet or some purple. Just get rid of that hot pink. It's too much of a distraction. I was really liking this. Once again, man, you can't be disappointed with the Primetime Players. They were really freaking impressive during this contest. I love how they just really worked the crowd. I love how they sat up and they said, we don't need this. We're not going to get our butts whooped. We're the number one contenders right now. Let's just keep it that way, as they very cockily, they said, nah, we're done with this. I would only imagine that the four of these guys get it on again on SmackDown. Now, we know SmackDown had just got done taping. I'm not sure what's going to happen on that episode. The RCWR Show, we're spoiler-free. We don't like giving spoilers out. It just hurts the business overall. You should just be sitting up saying, okay, I'm going to check it out on this day, and keep it like that. So we don't report on what is going on during the taping. So for those of you that can appreciate that, kudos to you. Our main event of the evening, we will see John Cena take on John Laurinaitis, David Otunga, Big Show in that handicap match. But it would end up being a 2-on-1 handicap match, as Big Show, man, he really showed his true colors right there. He sat up and informed John Laurinaitis that, hey, Big Johnny, I thank you for the contract that you gave me, the fat contract, the ironclad contract. I really appreciate it, but, I'm done now. I got to move on to bigger and better things. I'm done. And John Laurinaitis is just looking on like, Show, wait, you can't do this. Yeah, the hell he can. Big Show got that ironclad contract that you gave him, you idiot. So, of course, he can do whatever he wants, as you're not in power anymore. And, from there, folks, it would be David Otunga and John Laurinaitis taking on John Cena. And I must admit, I was very impressed early on with the offense of David Otunga. He just seems to be coming off better, I feel. I was really liking the way he was bringing it to John Cena, but eventually David Otunga would tag in John Laurinaitis when he felt that he had Cena down, as Laurinaitis, he wanted to get some of the action. Well, we would get a shocker because John Laurinaitis would take off his little neck cast, he would take off his arm sling, and he would just start going to work on the C Nation leader. And we got David Otunga just looking on like, wait a minute, dude, you've been faking it this whole time? What the hell? That's the look that he has on his face as he's watching John Laurinaitis just beat the hell out of John Cena. But eventually, John Cena starts making a little comeback as John Laurinaitis tried to pin Cena after attacking him, only to get a near fall. So realizing that John Laurinaitis, oh man, Cena's not really down, let me go tag back in Otunga. Otunga, he pulled a black moment right there. He said, wait a minute, I just realized something. Man, you ain't got no job. I'm out of here, as David Otunga rolled out, leaving John Laurinaitis all alone, one-on-one, where he proceeded to get his ass beat by John Cena, as Teddy Long looked on, approved. The crowd, they looked on, they approved, as not one, not two, not three. Was it 3 or was it 4, folks? Because I kind of lost track. I swear it was at least 4 times, but I'll settle for 3. 3 times, John Cena delivered the attitude adjustment to John Laurinaitis, followed up by the STF to make the former Raw and SmackDown GM tap out to end this episode of Raw, as it's officially over, folks. It's the end of People Power for now. My takeaway from this episode of Raw this week, it was fairly decent. I must admit, it was better than the No Way Out pay-per-view in some areas. I would have to say, scale of 1 to 10, I would have to give this episode of Raw 7 out of 10, and that's being very modest. They could have did without the Cyndi Lauper, Wendy Richter segment. Seemed like the only thing that was the highlight of the night was Triple H, Paul Heyman having their battle of words, Dolph Ziggler taking on Jack Swagger, and, of course, the first match that I mentioned. Now, let's go back to that first match for a second, and we'll wrap this up. You know, I would have preferred to see the World Heavyweight Champion, the WWE Champion, in the night. And this is just really a nasty trend that is continuing to happen as we have our respected champions not ending pay-per-views. We have our respected champions not ending SmackDown or Raw, and it's like one of those deals where you're saying to yourself, what is this really about? If it's not about being the champion, then what is it about? There used to be a saying that Triple H used to have years back. If you're not in the WWE to become the champion, then there's really no point of you being in the business. That's what he used to say passionately. So I find it weird that this is happening because it's a really nasty trend. I just kind of come off feeling as though, okay, so it doesn't matter what all these great men have accomplished. It doesn't matter what wrestlers have held these titles over the years. What's more important right now is John Cena ending the night, as we have John Cena ending the pay-per-views. We got John Cena ending Raw. Now, granted, we don't see Cena on SmackDown to end it. Most times we kind of see Sheamus ending SmackDown, most times. So we can cut a little slack right there, but it just seems like when it comes to Raw, it just seems like ever since CM Punk has had that title, for the love of me, I cannot recall a time where he closed out an episode of Raw as the champion. Really interesting dynamics right there, and I just can't help but wonder, when is CM Punk going to possibly sit up and say, look, I'm tired of being disrespected like this? Because it brings me up to a very valid point. And we'll get more into this in a little bit because I want you all that's listening to the show right now and those of you that decide that you want to call in, I definitely want to hear your thoughts about how they've been doing CM Punk. For those of you in the chat room, I definitely want to hear what you got to say. We'll read some of your comments live on the air. I want y'all to marinate on that for a little bit as we're going to be getting ready to take a commercial break because I think that brings up a very interesting debate because you really think about it, this CM Punk that we're seeing right now is totally different compared to the man that we saw last year. I mean, he's almost become complacent. So, really weird right there. For you basketball fans, got some news for you all. We have looks like it's over. Yep, game's over, folks. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder that have lost to the Miami Heat 98-104. That's right, folks. The Miami Heat have beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 104-98, and Miami now leads that series 3-1. Looks like we're going to be getting some new NBA champions. Wow. Really crazy right there how the times have changed, folks. All right, we're going to do this. We're going to go on ahead, and we're going to take a brief commercial break, and then when we come right back, we're going to go on ahead, and we'll take some calls, and we'll go more into what all has been happening in wrestling-related news. And finally, we'll get you caught up on what's been going on in entertainment news. So sit tight. Hope you've been enjoying the show so far. This is the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show on June 19th, 2012, and we'll be coming right back, folks, in just a little bit. Sit tight. Be right back.
Turn it on. Leave it on. America, see the music you want to see.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
24 hours a day on cable TV.
Stereo, interview, DJ, world premiere video, special, music news. I want my MTV.
Yeah, too much is never enough.
Oh my God, it feels so good. Oh yeah, slow down. Oh yeah, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Oh my God. Oh yeah, play with my balls. Oh, that feels so good. Yeah, just roll them around in a circle. Oh my God, I love it when you. Slow down. Don't move. I'll go get you a towel.
All right, and we're back. You're listening to the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show. I'm, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode as it's now the stroke of midnight on Wednesday, June 20th, 2012. Really thank you all that have checked out our RCWR post-show for the No Way Out pay-per-view. You quickly made that be one of our most listened to and downloaded shows. Greatly appreciate the love right there. Definitely let us know that we're definitely going in the right direction. Nothing but good for the RCWR show. So definitely appreciate the love right there. Also appreciate you guys that had checked out our piece with Joey Ryan as we had him on our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show last week. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check that out, definitely do yourself a favor and check that piece out. It was really fun having him come on by. without any further ado, let's go on ahead and let's enter the phone zone. And we got a caller. Oh, that's our boy Dave from the 269 area code. Dave, you're live on the air, my friend. How you been?
Good. How you doing?
All right.
I just had a question. Did you have a chance to think about the Thursday night question I asked you about the tag team? Tag team, 4 tag champions ever break up and both become world champions?
I still could not find anything.
I was thinking DX, like Shawn and Triple H, but they were never tag champions until way later on. But that's the only team I could really come up with, really.
I was leaning towards them too, but I was like, no, they kind of don't really count. I can't think. You know what? I was thinking about the Von Erichs.
That's a little before my time.
I was thinking about the Von Erichs. I might be on to something there. I'd have to check, but last I saw, I couldn't find anything. So how did you like the episode of Raw that had aired this past Monday night?
I didn't agree. It was okay. The thing about the Paul Heyman thing, like Joey Scott wasn't too happy about how Triple H took a shot at the ECW Bingo Hall. Just behind the DVD, like, hey, nobody did ECW DVD. I wish you promote ECW with that. They want to catch it on live TV.
Hang on a second, Dave. Is it just me, folks, or does Dave sound a little bit off with his audio? Anybody in the chat room, did Dave sound a little bit off there? Okay, yeah. Dave, we're going to have to end that call, buddy. You could try to call back in to the show. Try to fix your audio there because you were sounding really off. I kind of heard you say something about Paul Heyman, Bingo Hall. You didn't really like that either. Feel free to call back in when you get a minute. Definitely would like to hear what you have to say right there. I got some audio to play for you guys. I promised this guy on Twitter that I was going to hook him up because he really took the time to work on this piece. And I was just amazed when he had sat up and did this because as I was watching the No Way Out pay-per-view and I'm hearing a particular wrestler talk, I'm saying to myself, man, this sounds really perverted. And I'm thinking to myself, you're being silly. Stop thinking that way. But this guy heard the same thing I was hearing, and he did a video. And I said, dude, you got to let me put this on YouTube for you. And he said, no, unfortunately, as soon as I upload it to YouTube, they sit up and they yank it right off. I said, really? He said, yeah, they yanked it right off. So I was like, okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a plug on the show, and maybe we could kind of see if maybe we could direct traffic your way to check out this piece. Now, the piece that I'm talking about is that of Triple H talking about basically how bad he wants Brock Lesnar. Now, let me set this up for those of you that might have missed Raw and those of you that might have missed the No Way Out pay-per-view. Basically, in a nutshell, Triple H comes out, and the bullet points is basically, Brock Lesnar, you, me, we're fighters, let's fight, SummerSlam. That's pretty much the bullet points. Now, this piece that you're going to hear is what my good friend did as he edited the hell out of it, as this is what he was really hearing. Enjoy, folks.
This is not about them, Brock. This is about me and you and doing what we do. We're Brock, and I wanna you. Brock Lesnar, I wanna you bad. Brock Lesnar, Triple H, one-on-one, SummerSlam. It's not about anything else, Brock. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's Brock Lesnar. Let's or you can be happy with being a quitter. Either way, whatever works for you, Brock. I'll be waiting.
And that's our piece right there, folks. Really hope that you enjoyed it. Mad shout out to my boy on Twitter. They call him Kim. All right, that's his name on Twitter. Show him some love. Let him know you had liked that piece if you appreciate it. I was just rolling because as I was watching Triple H on the pay-per-view, that's initially what I was thinking as I'm hearing him say all this. But I was like, you're being dirty. Stop thinking that way. But here comes They Call Kim, and he had sent me a tweet. He said, dude, I'm working on this really awesome piece. It's going to be awesome. I'm playing with some words that Triple H said. I said, really? He said, yeah, man. He said something that kind of had me chuckle. I said, okay, well, let me see what you got. Let me know about it. So I think it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm kicking back. I'm trying to get ready for the Monday night piece on Rodney King, and Zed was sitting up uploading our post show, and I'm on Twitter, and he had the video done, and I was checking it out, and I was like, oh, my God, dude, that is so funny. So really hope y'all appreciate that piece. Now, in our last segment, we kind of ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger, and we were talking about CM Punk, and I don't want to go too much into detail about it because we got a ton of other stuff that we got to cover. I think it'll be something that we could follow up on next Tuesday night. But, you know, I just really kind of came off watching CM Punk, comparing his run as of late to the run he had last year. He just seems like a completely different individual. He doesn't seem hungry anymore. What happened to the CM Punk that was supposed to be speaking for the voice of the voiceless? What happened to the CM Punk that wanted things to be right in the WWE, that hard work needed to be appreciated, that the right individuals needed to be pushed? What happened to the CM Punk that was always pushing that envelope? Because now it just seems like CM Punk has become a shell of his former self. And if you would have told me this time, this year, if you would have told me last year that CM Punk was going to end up basically being the exact opposite, I would have said no. I just don't see that happening. Why would he suddenly change? And Stone Cold Steve Austin, he brought up a very valid point. He said, this isn't the CM Punk that I want to be facing at a WrestleMania. I did want to work with him, but now I'm not really so sure because he's changed. I don't want to be facing this version right now. And I couldn't agree more. There is just something that seems totally off about CM Punk. It almost comes off as if CM Punk has said, well, I've got mine. I've got everything that I want now. I'm good. I don't care about anybody else. I'm good. That's just how it comes off now. And it's just one of those deals where I'm kind of saying to myself, hell, if I'm supposed to be the face of your company, then you damn sure are going to do everything in your power to make sure that you build the show around me. And I'm just not seeing that with CM Punk. You know, we'll follow that up more next week, but that's just a little bit of a cliffhanger for you guys because I think what we'll do, we'll go more into detail about that, and that'll get you guys thinking for the week. And maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. I think we'll do a special episode of the RCWR Show next Tuesday. We'll let it run a little bit longer and see if maybe we can get you all's thoughts on how CM Punk's current run has been compared to next year. Now, let's move on right now, and let's talk about what has been going on in wrestling-related news since last that we had spoke with you all. And by the way, we still have our poll that's up over at InfinityOneProductions.com, where we're asking you if you feel that it should have been the Jarretts that should have been voted in for the first ever TNA Hall of Fame, or if TNA had it right by having Sting get the first induction. If you haven't cast your vote yet, highly recommend that you do so. Go over to InfinityOneProductions.com. Go cast your vote. We'll be sharing the results with you all the week of the Destination X pay-per-view that's going to be coming from TNA. And also we got a cool contest that's going on right now. It's supposed to conclude this coming Thursday, but we're going to go on ahead and we're going to extend it a little bit longer because we've really been getting some pretty cool ideas that have been coming in as we need help naming our Tuesday night show. That's right. We need help naming our Tuesday night show, and we have some really cool prizes that are up for grabs. Check this out. First place, you get $50 cash money. That's right, $50 cash money. Second place, you get a Blu-ray copy of this past year's WrestleMania 28. That's right, folks. And third prize, hey, we show you some love. We hook you up with a RCWR T-shirt. All you got to do is come up with a cool name for our Tuesday night show, and we'll do a little raffle. We'll pick the top three, and we'll break it down, and those will be the prizes that will be up for grabs. Now, you can submit your show name ideas to us on Twitter. Give us a shout over at Infinity One Prod. You can also hit us up on Facebook at Infinity One Productions, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out our page, highly recommend that you do. Like us. We've received a ton of likes. I believe we're almost at 2,000 likes. So definitely check it out. And a lot of people don't know this, but you can also befriend us on Facebook as well. So you can not only like the page, you can add us as well, so feel free to do so. You can also send us your show name ideas through email. Hit us up at infinityoneproductions@gmail.com. So get your brain jogging there, and good luck to you. Hope you come up with a really cool name. Now, as we all saw on Raw, Chris Jericho is going to be returning next week, and one of the interesting things that I had put out there was, okay, we got Chris Jericho returning next week, but is it going to be Chris Jericho the wrestler, or is it going to be Chris Jericho the singer with Fozzy that's going to be popping up? One thing that we do know for certain is that Fozzy is getting ready to release a new album in August. Now, WWE, they have put back up Chris Jericho's original dates that he was supposed to be doing right on up to SummerSlam. So really cool that they put those dates back up, as Chris Jericho will officially be no longer suspended as of this coming Monday for that incident that had occurred in Brazil where he kicked their flag. So really happy that he's going to be coming back. Now, the buzz that's been going around the wrestling community right now has been Ric Flair's contract with TNA, as it's been revealed that his contract had expired, get this, back on May 11th, and that he quietly has been informing close friends, family members, that he was done with the company, that he's been done with the company for quite some time now. Now, according to some court documents that were filed in TNA's lawsuit against WWE for interference with existing contracts, the organization, TNA that is, they terminated Ric Flair's contract on May 11th of this year. Now, Ric Flair, however, get this, he's still listed as an active talent on TNA's website. Now, it should be noted that the Nature Boy missed a live event that he was scheduled to appear the day before his contract was terminated. And since then, he privately was claiming that he had quit the organization. Now, look, you're supposed to be a legend. You're supposed to be the one that sets the example. This isn't the way that you want to quit an employer. I mean, seriously, after all the things that they have done for you, all the jams that they got you out of, all the financial jams that they've got you out of, this is really how you want to do them? I know you want to go back to WWE, man, but come on, you always want to leave that door open. I mean, seriously, leave the freaking door open. That way, if you have to go back to that line of work, if you have to go back to that employer, at least the door will be open and you'll get some type of a steady source of income on the regular. I don't know. I just think that that's kind of silly the way that Ric Flair has conducted business. It's just one of those sad stories that you hear and you say to yourself, man, how low this guy has gone compared to how he was back in the heyday. Really unfortunate right there. Now, of course, we got to talk about John Cena and Mickie James, folks. Now, this might be old for some of you all, but former Spirit Squad member Kenny Dystra, he recently had took to Twitter and he had revealed some really interesting gossip about what all had transpired while he was engaged to Mickie James, as it would turn out that Mickie James was cheating on him with John Cena. And the way he stumbled upon it was he had crept up on Mickie James one night as she was on the computer and she was typing in keywords, Mickie James, John Cena dating, and Kenny's like, why are you looking that up? What's up with that? And in a dramatic fashion, he would claim Mickie James had revealed that she had been with John Cena for quite some time. Now, WWE, they would catch wind of all this, and they tried to do what was best and separate the three. So that's why we saw Kenny Dystra go over to SmackDown for a little bit, where he did have a pretty impressive run, but he would soon be released from his contract. Now, it should be noted, and this is what Kenny is saying now, folks, take it with a grain of salt, take it how you want to take it. But Kenny claims that Mickie James' popularity was a result of being affiliated with John Cena. And he would also claim that John Cena was cheating on his, I guess, now-to-be ex-wife, Liz, with Mickie James, which is a claim that John Cena is denying. And that, yeah, this is basically why Mickie James was so popular back then, but that once John Cena had hooked it up with Liz and didn't want to have anything to do with Mickie James, he just wanted to be friends with her. Mickie James, she really was devastated by it. She almost went literally psycho over it, and this is why WWE, towards the end there, they were sitting up and they were dubbing her with the whole Piggy James gimmick, and then they released her from her contract. So there you have it right there, folks. Really interesting words right there. Twitter user had asked Kenny why was he sitting up and airing out this laundry, as it's really none of anybody's business. But Kenny would defend himself saying that, hey, it had to do with my life, and I'm the one that's putting it out there. And, hey, I realize that by putting this information out there, I'm probably burning bridges in the WWE. I probably won't be able to return to the company, but, hey, it's whatever. And he would also say that he has no beef, no personal hatred towards John Cena. He likes him, he respects him, but, hey, it is what it is. So really interesting stuff right there, folks. All right, so we got a little bit of showtime left. Let's go on ahead and let's talk about entertainment news. And not too much has been happening in entertainment news. Now, for those of you that might have missed it, a little bit of unfortunate news for you guys, as Ozzy Osbourne's son, Jack, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. That's right, and he had told this exclusively to People magazine. Now, just 2 weeks after he and his fiancée, Lisa Stelly, welcomed their daughter, Pierre Clementine Osborne, Jack was dealt with this piece of shocking news. And he would say, quote unquote, I was just angry and frustrated and kept thinking, why now? I've got a family, and that's what's supposed to be the most important thing. And for those of you that are not really familiar with multiple sclerosis, it's a disease that basically affects the central nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, and it can cause problems with muscle control and strength, vision, balance, feeling, and thinking. So MS, it should be noted, it differs in each case, with some people able to go through life with only minor problems, while others become seriously disabled. Most people fall somewhere between the two extremes. So really hope for the best for Jack right there, folks. And we got a little bit of music news for you D'Angelo fans. Now, if y'all have not seen D'Angelo jam at the Bonnararo, you definitely want to go check it out. There is a piece that's floating around on YouTube right now showing the neo soul singer in action, and he's looking better than ever. Now, last we had saw D'Angelo, he did not look recognizable, as he looked to weigh at least 300 pounds. He looks pretty damn good now. He looks to be in decent shape, and though it's been 12 years, can you believe it, folks? It's been 12 years since we have gotten a new album from D'Angelo, as his last album was Voodoo. It could happen. Questlove, the Roots drummer, well-known producer, he claims that D'Angelo has been sitting on at least 30 tracks, and that D'Angelo is thinking about releasing a new album this year, possibly in August. That's what he hopes, but we'll see what happens. And, hey, if Van Halen can finally put out a freaking album, I think D'Angelo can definitely put out an album. Anything can happen, so I'm going to have my fingers crossed on this one. We'll see what happens right there, folks. But if you haven't checked out D'Angelo performing with Questlove, definitely check that out, as he'll be making his first live U.S. appearance in 12 years. So this was really cool, as they did a curtain call Super Jam, and he was the surprise guest. So check that out, as he's going to be going on summer tour later this year. It's going to be kicking off in July. It's going to be running July 6th to July 8th. So check that out right there. And we got a little bit of Charlie Sheen news for you guys. Now, Charlie Sheen, he's got this new show that's going to be coming on FX. It's called Anger Management. Now, it should be noted that when FX first got wind that Charlie Sheen wanted to do a show with them, FX, they just said, okay, sign him, give him the money. They didn't even know what the show was going to be about. They just said, Charlie Sheen, yeah, we're good. Yeah, that's how it works, apparently on FX, so I guess anybody could get a show on there. I don't know. But that's not the point. Charlie Sheen would claim that this new series, Anger Management, will be his swan song. This is what he told in an exclusive interview to the New York Times. And he would basically say that when he's done with the business, it's just going to be about soccer games, amusement parks. When he was asked about what comes after the show, and he says, hey, when this ends, I'm done. This will be my swan song. Now, it should be noted that FX, they have a lot riding on this show, as they hope that the first 10 episodes will be successful, because if the first 10 episodes prove to be a success, they have on the back burner to order 90 more episodes that will be produced over the next 2 years. Now, it should be noted that most shows take about 5 years to reach that 100-episode benchmark, and that is typically marks a good syndication package. So fingers are crossed right there for the Anger Management series. And for those of you that are not familiar with the Anger Management, it's playing off of the movie that starred Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler. So that should prove to be really interesting right there. And that's really going to do it for entertainment news, at least this time around. We'll definitely be covering a little bit more on our Thursday night edition of Impact Showdown, as we'll be getting you ready for the weekend. And we'll be doing a special deluxe episode of Impact Showdown to make sure that we really give you guys that good entertainment fix, as we'll be also covering some comic book news for you comic geeks out there. Don't feel bad. I'm a comic geek myself. Represent. So that's going to do it for now, folks. I thank those of you that had took the liberty of participating in our chat room and discussing a number of the topics that we covered on the show tonight. Thank those of you that are going to be checking out this episode soon on YouTube. Mad shout out to you guys. Let's do this again, folks. We're going to be coming on live this Thursday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, right after Impact Wrestling. So join us for a new episode of Impact Showdown. Share your thoughts on the latest installment of Impact Wrestling. Till we hear from y'all next time, folks, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Y'all be safe. Be kind to one another, folks. See you this Thursday night. Take care.